Talking of Klopp. Now, Klopp, for me, he's one of the last... he's just got a bit about him. And, Joe, I agree. I think his energy levels dropped. He's not quite as animated and smiley, and you don't really see the teeth as much now. But I grew up in an era with... I'm older than you boys, but I grew up in an era with the likes of... not Brian Clough, but the likes of Harry Redknapp, Dave Bassett, Neil Warnock, John Sitton, even. Like football managers that just spoke their mind. Ian Holloway, like nutters, to be honest. Are all managers now, like manager interviews now, are they even worth watching? Has it just got so boring?
I think where it's gone for me, there's no rivalries on the touchline anymore. Do you remember, even a couple of years ago, you had Conte and Tuchel going at it, Wenger and Mourinho, Rafa and Fergie. It added something to the game, and I think that's when people talk about the Pep and Klopp rivalry. Yeah, the football is great, and obviously Pep's had his moments on the touchline and stuff, but there's never really been that nitty gritty, let's go at each other. I think, even with Mancini, when in Mancini's couple of years at City, if Mancini went after Fergie, he just went, right, I'm just going to have you and let's just have it out on the touchline. I think it's very PR driven now, and we don't want to upset the Premier League or get fined.
Scared of the fine. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Scared of the fine. That's all it is.
It's all media conscious, and at the end of the day, it is a sport, but it's also an entertainment factor as well. And I'm sure we've all worked in workplaces where you've had a boring boss. It's better to have an entertaining boss in a stressful environment than a peaceful environment and somebody boring. So I think they're very much being run by the PR and media teams at the moment.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think today's the anniversary of the Kevin Keegan rant.
Really?
Against Fergie, yeah. So kind of what prompted that. So I think, even that, I think actually Ferguson, when you think about it as well, you mentioned the bust upstairs and with Wenger and others. He's just that kind of manager that gets under people's skins. Fergie, he was really good at just winding people up at the right moments.
And I think that's what made that the Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi era of La Liga. But it was Pep versus Mourinho as well. There's so many different layers to it. And I think it's just a bog standard, go get beat, draw, lose, and go home, shake hands, and that's it.
Yeah. Can you see any rivalry? I like Arteta. For me, he's too intense. He's too boring. When he comes on, I kind of switch off. I think the same with Pep as well. I think neither of them have really got any banter about them. But even lower down, you think there's not really any managers that you think I might say something controversial here. I just think that's gone.
Marco Silva used to be very feisty in his Hull and Everton days, and that seems to have gone. I don't know whether that's because he took a bit of an ego bash from his Everton job and whatever, and he's had to rebrand himself. But even Poch used to be good for a soundbite and a bit of touchline antics. Though Chetwick class Chelsea's down the bottom, but that's where they are at the moment.
Yeah. Well, in fact, I may take that back slightly because there's one manager I think I could watch, but that's more just for the banter, which is this man. Because I think everything he says is absolute bollocks. I mean, he really is talking balls. This
talking balls, yeah, no.
Is he the first to be sacked, do you think?
I
think. Sorry, go on, John.
From being from that part of town, I speak to United fans who want to give him a chance, and others should get out the door. I just look at him on the touchline, and again, it goes back to what you were saying, Mark, about people being a bit stoic and everything like that. But if I was a Man United player, and again, I know we're going back years to Fergie, but I look at him and he just doesn't inspire me. I just think, what are you? He is just a damp squid, and I appreciate he is working in a football club and a business that is rotten from the top down, and I know there's going to be a big change with Jim, and it probably hasn't helped him, all the stuff he went through with Ronaldo and Sancho and now Rashford. The man must be absolutely shattered, but at the same time, I just don't think he's the right man to be in that environment.
And Mason Greenwood, he had that as well.
Sorry, about that.
He has been tough. He's had a tough ride to be
fair. But no, I don't think he's the man to take this United rebuild. Well, United have been rebuilding for 10, 11 years now, but I think with Sir Jim Radcliffe coming in and everything, I don't think he's the right person to be at the helm now.
Yeah, I think footballing wise, I think he's all over the place. I can see what he wants to do and what he wants to try to do, but I think we see here. Let's look at Man City and Arsenal, the two teams that control games, and I think he's a coach that can't get his team to control games. He said it himself, basically, that his team is entirely based on transition. That's too much chaos. You don't want that much chaos when you want to try and win a game. It just leaves you susceptible. So some of the things that he does is bizarre, to be honest. And just the interviews that he gives, it's just, as he said, it's just not inspiring. It just feels very generic in the way that he does things. But from his talent ID to the football that his teams play, it's just, yeah, if I was a Man U fan, it was just a bit depressing, to be honest with you. But
I think it is their mentality. So I mean, I don't need to be disingenuous to Coventry here, because that game was absolutely brilliant. Like, fair play for them to have the mentality to come back. But then, does he not question Ten Hag and Manchester United's mentality that with 13 minutes to go, you're 3-0 up, you should be absolutely cruising, and you managed to absolutely
100%.
throw it down the drain in that space of time? And I know, again, that's the beauty of football, but does it not speak to how they should be managing games and how the players should be managing the games in those last few moments? I think you mentioned it, fair, Mark. I was looking at the league table, and I can't see Chrissy Wilder, Vincent Kompany, or Rob Edwards, or if not, so I can't see Nuno being sacked from Forest. I think Nuno's done enough to show that he's warranted a place there. But I mean, does Zerbe, Thomas Frank, Marco? You can't, Marco Silva potentially, but the only one that stands out is United. I would say Moyes, but I think where he's in the table is kind of papered over the cracks of your season. So I think he's just got away with it, Moyes.
Isn't it with Moyes? He hasn't signed an. I've seen he hasn't signed an extension.
No, they went to the end of the season, so it's weird. In the newspapers, they're saying Moyes has got a contract on the table, but he's waiting to the end of the season. And then people from inside the club are saying, we haven't got a contract yet, we'll decide at the end of the season. So I think Moyes is trying to save a bit of face. But yeah, if we don't, I don't think we'll get many points from the last 4. So 3, sorry. So I don't think we're gonna do much. So for me, I think he'll go. I bloody hope he goes.
Who would you want in, Mark?
I probably Potter. I'd take Potter over who's the chap, the ex-Wolves one we're linked with. I can't pronounce his name.
Nuno?
No.
The ex-Spain manager?
Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Julian
That's Lopetegui, yeah. I'd take Potter over him, because I think Potter was one. I think he knows English football better, and I don't think we work well with foreign managers. West Ham. I just don't think East Londoners connect with Pablo from Spain, whoever it is. He just doesn't connect. So
I think he'd throw his toys at the pram anyway. The ex-Spain manager. I'm sure that's what happened when he was at Wolves.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, kicked off.
He didn't go his way and he just jumped ship. You don't want that. And I think, to be fair, it's an interesting project at West Ham. I think if they can get the players, big stadium, good fan base.
Just needs the rebuild. It does need a massive rebuild, though. There's so many players there. The entire back 4 needs replacing. The keepers. We need a backup keeper, if nothing else. Ariola's okay, and then we haven't had a striker in about a decade. Although Bowen's scoring for us, we just don't do strikers.
Oh, Bowen's class. Is class. Oh my gosh, yeah. But you let Skamaka go. He's a good player. Shouldn't let him go. Yeah.
They've gone on to score a lot of goals elsewhere. We just can't get a tune out of them for some reason. But that's because Moyes likes his strikers to play CDM, and that's the problem. So we're never going to sign a good striker if all he's going to do is sitting behind the halfway line when we're attacking. It's ridiculous what he makes them do. So I think he's like, if you're a striker and it's like, West Ham are after you, it's like, no thanks. It's tough. It's a tough deal.
Do you think he'll keep Paqueta this season, or do you think he's gone?
I think he'll go to City, but he's not been that great second half of the season. John, would you want him there?
I've not seen enough of him this season to go yes or no. But then, from what I have seen, he's not exactly lighting the league on fire. But then, I think most people have said that about Matthias Nunes when we signed him from Wolves this season. But towards the back end of the season now, Nunes is really come into his own. So I think, is he a bad player? No. I think, could Pep do a lot with him? Yeah. But then it's how long does Pep get with him before Pep packs it in? So I don't, to answer your question, I'm not too sure. I wouldn't want to say yes or no.
Do you think Pep's leaving soon? Is that what you think?
Not this season. I think Pep. I think he's got 2 years. I think he's signed to 2026.
Okay.
So I think we'll see, see what he is in 2 years, and he might time it nicely. He might leave in 2026 and wait for the World Cup and then get an international job. That's where he could go, or he just stays with us until he's had enough. Hopefully,
I can actually see that. To be fair, I feel like he's a manager so full of excitement and it's always wanting to be innovative or be ahead of the pack that I don't think he will want to leave now or even in 2 years' time. I think he loves it. He loves it. Why?
Depends what happens with the Chargers as well. Is Pep going to want to play Wycombe Wanderers on a Tuesday night in December? We'll see. I wouldn't want to, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely not. I'm looking at the odds to be sacked. Obviously, Ten Hag is favourite. Then it's Chris Wilder, David Moyes, Pochettino, Vincent Kompany, and Nuno. Obviously, they're down the bottom. Poch is an interesting one. Obviously, Chelsea, because they're very hit and miss. But do you think he could turn Chelsea around?
I think so. I don't think he's been given enough time, and he's got into an absolute horror show that is Chelsea.
Yeah.
50 players and Todd Bowley just going absolutely bonkers.
Doing what he wants.
Yeah, I still don't think Potter should have gone from Chelsea. I think he got a rough deal there. But I think Potter will stay for a couple of years unless he just one day wakes up and goes, "I've had enough of this absolute madhouse." Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take Potter at West Ham. So you're right. I don't think he got any real chance to shine there. He's dropped in. I think, but that would be the same. Anyone going in after Klopp and anybody going in after Pep, impossible boots to fill. You can't say no, but then you've got a real tough job on your hands to try and emulate those guys.
I think with Chelsea as well, they've got a lot of young players. I think Thiago Silva's probably the main sort of figure. Pep, maybe Chilwell, Reece James is still young. They've got a very young team. So I think even that element as well, Prem ready players, you know what I mean? It was just, I think it's difficult in that aspect alone. And we've seen now how important it is when you've got a balanced squad. I think even with us last season, I think Xhaka's probably was the oldest one, the most experienced one. And it shows. So now experience in age and experience is key.